That was weird. Hello and welcome to the Trend Zone Football Dudes Extranomical Fantasy Show. He's Dave. I'm Casey. It's time to talk a little fantasy.
Casey, can you live this fantasy life?
Dave, it's not reality. It's just a fantasy. Oh, yeah. And we will dive a little bit deeper on the Trend Zone later in the week. This is all about the side bets, the monies, the fantasies, how you get paid on the side. So, Dave, let's go ahead and get started with three strikes.
Yes, sir. Last week I had San Francisco over Arizona. There was a moment of discomfort at one point, but that was resolved appropriately, and the Niners took care of business. I remain without a strike.
Nice. I went ahead and went with the Minnesota Vikings. Even so, Bob D said, "Don't do it. Don't take the Vikes." And I was like, they're going to win. And then, of course, that opening drive, Kirk Cousins with the pick six the other way. I was like, I should have listened to Bob. But the Vikings went ahead and handled their business. And I'm only down one strike. Got two left, baby.
Yeah, the most popular pick, Casey, was in fact my San Francisco over Arizona pick. The most popular incorrect pick. Wow, only 2%, a little more than 2% of the people, but it was Pittsburgh losing to Houston. That was a shocker. I'm surprised it
Yeah,
didn't knock out more people.
no doubt, dude. I didn't see that one coming at all last week. And of course, moving into week 5, everybody's picking those Dolphins over the Giants. What an abomination of a football game on Monday night. Completely disgusting.
There was a moment where it almost became a game, Casey, and then it went, whoa, nope,
Yeah.
no game.
Danny Dimebag said, I'll put an end to that one.
Yeah, we got excited for a minute there. Sorry.
Oh, man. All right. Well, there you go. Pick Miami and you're going to be good. Dave, it is time for our fantasy go back starts of the week. If you could go back in time and change a player that you used and grab the W, would you have done it?
I could have changed out two receivers for two receivers. That would have gotten me a instead of a 17 point loss, like a point loss. But nothing was going to change my L into a W. So, no, sir.
And I just went up against a Los Burros Locos buzzsaw who had Christian McCaffrey in his 41.7 and his Seahawks defense with his 39. So even though my Foul Boys put up 110 on the day, it was just about 42 points shy of securing a
Wow.
victory. But other than that, it was a great day.
Nice. That is. Well, and when you get over 100, you feel like you got a shot, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I
not
didn't
that time.
even cash this week. Big scores.
Yeah.
And you know
Weird.
why? Because there were some players that were total fantasy domination. Dave, start with the quarterback.
Josh Josh Allen from the Bang Dang Owls. Also plays for the Buffalo Bills. Casey, 320 pass yards, 4 pass TDs, 17 rush yards, and a rush TD. Pretty nice performance by Mr. Josh Allen.
Yeah, and I just said it. CMC, Christian McCaffrey for those Los Burros Locos, 106 rush yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 71 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown.
Hell of a performance. How about Stephon Diggs at wide receiver, Casey? He had 120 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns receiving. Wow.
Man, those Bills did those fish in. And this guy floating around on the free agent wire. We talked about him before. We might talk about him later. Cole Kmet, dude. 1 singular rush yard. How did he get on total fantasy domination? Oh, it was the 85 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. I'm sure
Okay.
he's going to get picked up this week, especially moving
Perhaps.
into the buys. Okay, Dave, here's our league. We run it through NFL.com because it's got our league history. Otherwise, we might be looking for a new home. But it's 12-team league, non-PPR, no flex, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 6 points for touchdowns by quarterbacks, as it should be, where we make it tricky. Only 5 bench spots is brutal. Injuries, bye weeks, we're getting into the thick of it now, so it's going to be woolly and wild. Dave, talk about our waiver claims.
Yeah, it's moved to last after claim never reset, which means after a successful waiver claim, you get moved to the lowest waiver priority for the next week. But if you decide not to take a player in a given week, then your waiver priority goes up and up and up each week. So there's a lot of strategy there to not taking a waiver wire every single week maybe deciding to take a free agent here and there, letting that waiver positioning go up so you can really get one when you need it.
Or you could be a sicko like Cause of the Greenbud Packers. Set your alarm for 2 a.m., get up and make your wire selections and then go back to sleep. He
That's
is a
that's
sicko.
why I always wake up and find the guy I wanted gone.
Yeah, Cause he can't stay up that late, but because he gets up early to do it. All right, I mentioned the bye weeks coming in to week 5. Cleveland, Los Angeles Chargers, Seahawks, and the Bucks all on bye. Dave, what you gonna do if you need a quarterback, bruh?
Yeah, you know what? This guy has been out there pretty much the whole season. CJ Stroud, Houston Texans, is only 32% rostered in most leagues. So he hit 300 yards twice and he's thrown for 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. They're now sitting at 2-2, so the team's feeling pretty good. Next 3 weeks aren't great, where he plays the Falcons, Saints, and then a bye. But after that, the schedule opens up, and he's actually right now QB 10 in terms of scoring. So if you're sitting there with a underperforming quarterback, this might not just be a 1 week situation. You might want to just grab this guy and hold on to him.
Yeah, he's got something special going with Nico Collins there. Finally got Dalton Schultz into the scoring shenanigans last week, and they completely annihilated those Steelers, man. Crazy.
Woo! Wow, nutso.
I'm looking at Sam Howell here. I hate to stay within the division, but he's been playing pretty good lately. Got the Chicago Bears on Thursday night. Sometimes these Thursday night games are a little run heavy, but the offense seems to be picking it up for these Commandos lately.
Yeah, I mean he's had one bad game really, and then 3 good games for Howley. So he's been pretty dang impressive so far this year.
All right, David, let's take a look at running back.
Yeah, I'm going with Jaleel McLaughlin, Casey.
Building a mystery.
A little known back at a Youngstown State, Casey, on the Denver Broncos. Actually, only 1% rostered. So, and last week he really kind of blew up there with 7 rushes for 72 yards, 3 catches for 32 yards, and a touchdown. When Javonte Williams went down, Javonte Williams has a minor hip injury. No real indication right at this point the severity or his availability for next week. But even so, it would seem that McLaughlin, with that kind of output, is going to find himself a role in this offense. So if he continues to develop like that, it could be a steal at this point in the season.
Yeah, and he seems I don't know if he's past Samaje Perine, my Facebook friend, on the depth chart there, but he definitely was very solid when he got an opportunity last week. So Peyton's going to ride the hot hand there
No
in
question.
Denver. So, as painful as it is, I'm thinking about maybe doing Matt Breida in this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Giants offense completely trash, but he was the one bright spot, I guess, on Monday night if there was one. And this is only a temporary fix. Is Saquon's going to be back sooner than later, but he might get pretty active there. And otherwise, you sift through some of those Ravens running backs. Maybe you get Justice Hill.
Yeah, I mean, and Breida going against the Dolphins this weekend. The Dolphins, obviously gave a crap load of points last week. So we'll see if the Giants can get on track. But they're certainly going to want to run the ball and not let Tua go crazy on the other side.
Oh, dude, what an abomination! I still can't get over it. Oh my god! All right, Dave. What about wide receiver?
Yeah. So at wide receiver, this one's a no brainer for me. KC Jamison Williams on the Detroit Lions. He hasn't really done much since he was, I think, the 11th overall pick in the draft a couple years ago. Missed most of his rookie season, pretty much in its entirety, with the coming back from that ACL from the national championship game. But right now, available in most leagues out there because he had that 6-game suspension for gambling, and that
Mhm.
was dropped recently to just a 4-game suspension. So suddenly he became available, and he'll probably ease into it. But if you've got some room on the back end of your roster, wouldn't mind stashing that dude to see if that Lions offense very productive.
Yeah, the only problem with the Lions is you never know who's gonna get fed, but in his limited, play last year, came right in and had an instant impact,
He
all
did.
the talent in the world, so, that might be like a sneaky league winner as you move down and he gets more acclimated in that offense. You know what? I don't love the matchup this week, but Michael Gallup's had a couple of really solid weeks with the Cowboys. They kind of wrote him off because he wasn't back all the way from injury last year. I felt like Kellen Moore wasn't using him right, having all these comebacks and cutting with that knee healing. Just send him deep, man. What he does is he goes up and bodies the ball in the air. He's not one of these guys that's going to do the hitches and comebacks. So, I like Gallup a lot, and maybe if not Gallup, dude, Jahan Dotson's sitting right here.
Ooh, that's also a
Go ahead,
tasty one.
a little stack with Hal. Why not, right?
Well, speaking of Gallup, that next game is the 49ers, is it not? So that
Oh,
will be
it
a tough
is.
matchup. But after that, there's greener pastures as you guys play the Los Angeles Chargers, who make every receiver look like Tyreek Hill, apparently. So if you can hang on to that guy for a couple weeks,
Keep the
he
good
certainly
work
could
up,
be.
baby. Make sure. Ooh, Monday night in LA in just 2 short weeks. Oh, baby. We
Oh,
might be in the house for that one. We will
oh
have to
yeah.
see, Dave.
It
All
could
right, what
happen.
you got going at tight end?
Yeah, Casey, we've been mentioning this guy at least one show, if not two shows, the last two shows. I wish I would have taken my advice or your advice. I can't recall which of us had Cole Komet.
If
And
I'm
last week,
here and you're here, it's our advice.
yeah,
Certainly nothing wrong with our advice.
well said, sir. And Cole Komet at Washington this week. So, it's a decent matchup there. He's got 189 yards on the season, but the two touchdowns last week, that's what gets you kind of fired up for this guy.
Definitely, dude. And what about Tyler Higbee for our Los Angeles Rams? Got those stinking Eagles coming to town. He got that new fat payday. I mean, if he empties that money out of those pockets, he can get up and make some grabs. But that offense is starting to come around. Although Puka Nakua is taking every single ball out there, so maybe there's not enough to go around for Higgs. Man, that guy is balling, and I think he was the week 2 free agent waiver wire darling. And man, talk about ROI on that guy. Wow.
No doubt. Tyler Higbee, though, banged up that thumb a little bit. Probably not going to be an issue, but we'll see heading into the week. If you're concerned, keep your eye on that.
He's got 9 more fingers, Dave. Come
Yeah.
on. What's that thumb do? Pinochle, pinochle. All right, what about defense, bro?
Yeah. Speaking of defense, how about the Miami Dolphins at the New York Giants? The Giants have a way of
Ugh.
serving up great defensive
You
performances to
trying to
teams
make me
playing
throw
them.
up during the show, dude? How many giant
I mean, you
references
should
have we?
be
Oh,
enjoying this.
I
I recall a time early in the season when they gave up an enormous score to a defense of the Dallas Cowboys. How about last week? With the Devin Witherspoon interception
pick
for a
6,
touchdown. So
11 sacks,
yeah,
one for every
Woo!
defender on the field.
Yeah. The offensive line for the Giants is in disarray, and guess what? Um, Vic Fangio and that Dolphins defense is going to come in there and
Ugh,
take advantage of it. So I recommend Dolphins. What
that's going to
about
be
yourself, Case?
brutal. Dude, if you looked at the schedule coming out, you would have said, "What are you smoking, Case?" But I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals
Well,
going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, dude. How many
oh
times did we see Burrow get hit last week? I mean, he's got zero mobility. He's trying to tough it out and stay in the pocket, but the Titans beat the living crap out of him last week. And these Cardinals have been pretty impressive defensively speaking the first few weeks. I know it was a struggle against San Francisco, but who doesn't struggle against San Francisco?
yeah,
So, they're going to be teeing off on Burrow on
yeah. Head
Sunday.
coach Jonathan Gannon, the defensive mind coming from that Philadelphia team for the last couple of years, he has really got that Cardinals team playing at a high level. We've said it; they could have won every game,
Mhm.
but they're really competitive, and that defense is kind of taking on his persona a little bit. So we'll see. That could be a nice pick, Casey.
Yeah, you guys got questions? We got answers. Hit us up at footballdudesla@gmail.com. And one of you lucky people will get your email read on the show next week, but you got to get it in early. And while you're out there doing stuff on the interwebs, make sure you subscribe to the Trend Zone podcast. Each and every week of the NFL season, we talk top trending stories and preview all of the games every week. Nobody does it anymore, but the football dudes do. We give you previews of every game.
Dude, we do all the heavy lifting, so you guys don't have to, right? That's the Trend Zone podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music as well, wherever you get your podcasts. Or just head on over to footballdudes.com and we will help you dominate your fantasy league and your picks every week.
That's right. Get all the good stuff here. For Dave, I'm Casey. We are the Football Dudes. Thank you for listening to the Trend Zone Football Dudes Extranomical Fantasy Show. Good luck to all your fantasy teams and your reality teams.